What's up, True Boxing? It's my post-fight wrap-up on, Ring Kings. Let me start off by saying it was a good matchup. I went to go see it at a theater. It's the first time I did that. It actually was a good idea. I actually enjoyed it, and probably what I'll do from now on with fights. But just gonna do a review on all the fights. Um, Had Quintana versus DeAndre Lattimore. He got knocked out. I felt like he was in over his head to begin with. I mean, Quintana is not. I would consider Quintana like journeyman status. If you can't beat him, you're not really ready for the open class elite fighters. Boxing pro is kind of like amateurs. You got amateurs and you got open class amateurs. The elite level version. Um, and he got knocked out. I think he was just way over his head. He shouldn't have been in there. Quintana was just too crafty for him, too slick. He had too much movement. He couldn't deal with it. Um, Moving on, next fight, Stevie Forbes and Stevie Forbes 2 pounds. Stevie Forbes versus what the fuck is his name? I can't think of his name right now. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Vargas. Um, to me, that was like an exhibition. You had two things going on in that fight. I hate fights like that. Is where you have one guy who's big and strong but don't have the skill necessarily to beat the fighter he's fighting, and then you have a fighter who's small and not as strong as the bigger guy, but he on his skill is what's keeping him in the fight. It's kind of like when you had Donaire versus Navarez. I think that was his name. It was like that. It was like Vargas couldn't set up the shots to hurt 2 pounds Forbes, and Forbes just wasn't strong enough to do it. So it was a 12-round exhibition. Nobody whooped anybody's ass. It was just like an exhibition. Vargas got the win, but I wouldn't be like jumping on the turnbuckle and screaming and shouting. It was like uh, eh, you got the win. Hey, nobody kicked each other's ass. Next fight, moving on. Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Mosley. Mosley has tricked everybody. See, everybody remember Mosley when at 130 when he was a good lightweight. In my opinion, he was just bigger than everybody, so that's why he was knocking them out. So he has that aura about him. Everybody's like, oh, he can knock people out. And if you think about it, he doesn't have one punch knockout power because who has he really knocked out with one punch? He hurts people, but he hasn't knocked them out. So, let me get more adjusted. So you can't really say that. So you know, he didn't have the power to knock out Canelo. He was too young, too fast, too strong, and Canelo was just filling him out. And Canelo brought it to him. I mean, he did some serious body work. I mean, it was times where I thought, God damn. But shout out Mosley, heart of a lion. He got heart, baby. He showed he ain't no bitch, and he tried. He went out there and fought. He just wasn't enough. Canelo just put it on him. I think Shane Mosley needs to reevaluate his career. Don't be a stepping stone to these young fighters. You just added your name to a list to his resume. Don't be a stepping stone. Just end your career and get it over with. You're a Hall of Famer. And now let's move on to the main event. Miguel Cotto versus Floyd Money Mayweather. Now I didn't do a video, but I actually thought Floyd was going to knock him out or stop him in 8. And I must say, Cotto came to fight. That boy came to fight. Um, he did his damn thing in that fight. A lot of people are saying, he exposed Floyd because Floyd got bloody. You know what, Floyd, like Bernard said in the face-off with Pascal, when he said I had never been knocked down, and it just shocked everybody, and that I'm human, and that's what I think a lot of people were looking at it when Floyd was bleeding. It's like, kind of like seeing Superman bleed. Like, you actually bleed, And my thing is, people got to look at it. Floyd is human. Even though he has great defense and he's a great fighter, he's still human. And so I'm not gonna take nothing away from Cotto. He busted his nose, but Cotto came to fight, and I had I thought the scores were kind of right. A lot of people say it was a lot closer. It was closer in the aspect that Floyd didn't dominate him the entire round. There were like seesaws, and Floyd would pull out. It was kind of like even this is what people mistake. Even if the fight, the round, is like a real close round, and it was a battle that round, it could still be a 10-9 round, and it could still I could beat you. You don't judge a fight as an entirety; you judge it round by round. And even though it would be a round where Cotto did real good work, in that same round, Floyd did real good work, and he did the better, portion of the work. So sometimes people think domination, like I just blow you literally out the round, and get a 10-9 versus it's competitive, but I'm kicking your ass the round. So that's what it's like people look at it like it was more closer. Yeah, it was more closer in the sense he didn't run through, Cotto like he was, like he didn't, wasn't there. It was closer in that aspect, but a lot of the rounds, in my opinion, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and I think the sixth, I want to say six, that's when it started getting a little interesting, but fifth were more, you know, competitive fights, but each round Floyd was winning them clearly to me. So it wasn't like those seesaw rounds. But like I said, Cotto came to fight. And you got to look at it. Cotto had a lot to fight. He had a lot to prove. Beating Mayweather means a lot. Nobody's beat him, and people don't look at that. Like you're going to fight your best because nobody's beating him. Think about it. That's a notch on your resume. You're the first to do it if you do it. And so Cotto came to fight, and a lot of people don't take into consideration that this fight, which came, I noticed in the later rounds, the mid rounds, Cotto's weight started to come into play. If he goes around 6, 7, and 8ish, that's when Cotto's size and weight started to come into play, and he started to bully Floyd around. But Floyd picked off a lot of the shots, and like I said, he was giving to Floyd. Floyd was giving to him. One thing I noticed was Floyd's jab was more consistent in the earlier rounds than Cotto's. Cotto pretty much didn't even use it. Um, but all in all, Floyd actually had him hurt several times in this fight. He was throwing looping shots to get over Cotto's guard, to get under it. Like I said, Cotto, he put on a brilliant performance. And once again, people have to take in consideration, Cotto fought. Did he fight the best version of Cotto? Absolutely. But Cotto's not fighting the best version of Floyd. We're fighting the best version of what we can fight at this exact moment. And that's what you got to give Floyd respect for. He didn't fight him then. He could have, would have. We're talking about the best that we can possibly be at this moment. And Floyd let him come in at what weight he felt comfortable at. He let him, come in with weight. Floyd wanted 8-ounce gloves. Cotto was the one that was against the 8-ounce gloves. He wanted 10-ounce gloves. So, okay, that's what we agreed on. And he wanted him comfortable. I'm fighting the best of you that I can possibly at this moment. And so Cotto came and brought it. Wasn't enough. He lost. But I was reading a couple comments, and a lot of people were saying Floyd's nose was busted, and you know Pacquiao did better because he dropped him. Well, Pacquiao fought him at a catch weight. Floyd didn't. Pacquiao had a busted eardrum and a bruised and puffy face. Floyd had a mark under his eye and a busted nose. I'd take a busted nose over a busted eardrum any day. Hell, that nose is done. It's pretty much fixed. Who knows how long it takes for that ear? Floyd, the people say he's not a volume puncher. He threw 684 punches, I believe, or 74. That's more than Pacquiao threw in his last fight against Marquez, who's much slower than Cotto. He threw combinations. I think he tried to play to the crowd a little bit. But all in all, I'm not going to take nothing away from Cotto. Cotto came to fight. He came to fight. And it's nothing to be ashamed about his performance because he did good. He didn't look bad. He still has money options out there. He didn't go out there and get destroyed. He was upset with the scores, but in my opinion, I believe the scores is right. I think in my heart of hearts, I got it 9-3 Floyd, but I could see a round going, one of those swing rounds going to Cotto. So all in all, good fight. Rate, comment, subscribe. I talk it up. Peace.